Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Roman Giertek, a lawyer representing the owner of Getin Noble Bank, who sued the president of the Polish Financial Oversight Commission for corruption, suggested that the prosecutor should question the Polish president, Andrzej Duda. The Secretary of State of the President's Chancellery, Andrzej Dara, said in an interview for Radio Z that if needed, President Duda will attend any testimonies.
I understand that Zdzisław Sokal, the president's representative in the commission, won't be dismissed.
Nothing points towards the claim.
Will the president testify before the prosecution, as suggested by Roman Giertek?
Roman Giertek's goal is to politically inflame this matter. He became a legal representative not because he is a good lawyer, but because he has all the political relations, hence this suggestion. We don't even have all the details, we don't know all the what's and who's.
And if the prosecution calls for the president's testimony?
If the prosecution, not Roman Giertek, but the prosecution decides that it needs to question the president, then I assure you, the president will attend any questioning that he'd be called for, because he is a Polish citizen.
Today, the Catholic Church celebrated the World Day of the Poor, initiated by Pope Francis for the second time. On this occasion, Pope Francis invited thousands of poor and homeless people for a hot meal. Warsaw, the capital of Poland, also celebrated this day by helping those in desperate need.
This is the second time that the World Day of the Poor was celebrated in the Catholic Church. Today, on this occasion, Pope Francis invited thousands of poor and homeless people for dinner.
The cry of the poor is the stifled cry of the unborn, of starving children, of young people more used to the explosion of bombs than happy shouts on the playground. It is the cry of the elderly, cast off and abandoned to be by themselves. It is the cry of all those who face the storms of life without the presence of a friend.
On this special day in Poland, the Foundation of Fathers from the Order of Friars Minor Capuchin organized meals for poor people. Warsaw's inhabitants could help as well by bringing cakes or salads. The event wasn't anything new for volunteers who meet the homeless at least a few times a week.
We want to emphasize that this is a very important day. Everyone who could brought cake and came earlier to help people in need.
Fathers from the Order of Friars Minor Capuchin have been running an eatery for the poor people for over 30 years.
We meet the homeless every day, we take care of them, we give them clean clothes, but we also try to help them to get back to society. We help them with finding values. So this whole process concerns social, psychological, spiritual and cultural side of life. That's why we thought about taking them to the theater.
Mr. Dariusz says that you can not only eat a hot meal or talk with others at this place, but also take care of yourself, for instance, to take a shower.
The worst time is in winter because it's very cold. A lot of homeless people use the public transport like buses, trams, just to warm up for a moment. To be honest, a lot of them are very dirty, but that's their choice. You can take a shower if you want in places like this eatery.
The World Day of the Poor is dedicated especially to homeless people. It was Pope Francis' initiative at the end of the Year of Mercy celebrated 2 years ago.
The launch date of the Polish satellite PWSat-2 has been postponed from the scheduled Monday for additional pre-flight inspections. SpaceX has tweeted that the launch date for the Polish-made satellite will be announced on a later date. Once the PWSat-2 is in orbit, it will be the fourth Polish satellite in space and the second student satellite built at the Warsaw University of Technology. The spacecraft designed to help deal with space debris once again demonstrated the capabilities of Poland's technology in constructing space units, yet the country has way to go in terms of delivering them into orbit. More and more political pundits and journalists are starting to publish retractions after initially having accused the participants of the 250,000-man-strong Polish Independence Day March of being fascist or right-wing extremists. Fabian Eberhard, a Swiss journalist, has suspended his Twitter account after receiving more than 70,000 highly critical comments following a controversial Twitter post.
In his tweet, Eberhard wrote that 200,000 nationalists and neo-Nazis had marched in Warsaw. Francis Fukuyama, a famous American political scientist, wrote that the Polish president and PM had participated in a fascist march, but later deleted the tweet. The Croatian public TV channel HTV also issued a retraction after having spread fake news about the march. Many Poles responded strongly against the lies spread about the November 11th march. One of the responses, which has went viral, was recorded by Stefan Thompson, a Polish South African documentary producer.
It is a chance for tens of thousands of Poles to march together in a sea of red and white flags. It is a chance to feel the unity of nationhood, that very same one that helped us survive as a stateless nation. Yes, we chant, we sing, some of us light flares and we shout slogans. Yes, it is primal, collectivist, and to those who do not know our history, it might be hard to comprehend. This year we marched behind the unofficial motto of Poland: God, honor, and fatherland. These words, these values represented by those words, and the heavy sacrifice of our forefathers for those values is why today Poland exists and is free. Those were the values of those who fought the great powers that partitioned our country, those who fought the Bolsheviks, those who fought the Nazi Germans, and those who battled the communists. These were the last words of many resistance fighters faced with execution, and those are our values today. That is why we march, because Poland exists, despite great, almost insurmountable odds, because we understand what it is like to live without a country. We understand how hard and costly it is to regain a country. We understand that freedom costs. It costs dearly, and we must all do our part to preserve it. And that is why we shall keep marching, no matter how you report on us.
More than 280,000 people attended yesterday's Yellow Vest protest against the French President Emmanuel Macron and his policy to increase hydrocarbon taxes targeting drivers. Wearing yellow vests, protesters across the country formed blockades, leading to a number of dangerous situations. A woman was killed and 220 people were injured in the protests.
There were approximately 1,500 protests taking place all around the country and over 2,000 blockades paralyzing roads, roundabouts, entrances to supermarkets and such. The protests were organized by a movement called Gilets jaunes, or the Yellow Vests, created on social media platforms like Facebook. French citizens went on the streets to show their dissatisfaction with the hiking prices of gasoline, which are now 25% more expensive. The French government argued that the inflated prices are caused by the rapid ecological transformation. However, the French media quickly revealed that only 20% of the money from the uptick are dedicated for the stated purpose. Drivers and public transportation workers are to protest tomorrow, and other demonstrations are soon to follow.
That's it for today. See you next time on Poland Daily. But stay tuned for the Poland Daily Weather Report.